Welcome back to the A.K.A. podcast. We've been gone for a very long time. It's been a hiatus. We've been gone. Amr, it's all Amr's fault. He wanted payment for certain things. He wanted percentages. He was making demands, and then he also demanded for Ahmed to get kicked out of the pod. That was another thing. So Amr, tell me why you decided to come back on. After trying to like sink the ship.
You see what it is, yeah. My demands were met. Money got paid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I can reverse the Venmo transaction.
No, you can't. You can't. I already sent it to Molly. So we're all good. You got me.
Oh wait, Basuma. Sent it to Basuma.
Yeah, cheers. Man's been watching
Yeah.
Africa and that. I see you. I
Afghan
see
and
you.
that. Tunisia, you're trash. If we have a single Tunisian person that watches this, we're joking. I don't want to mess with none of you lot. I
Pick
love
up the Arab.
the Arabs. Unless you're Morocco in the FIFA Arab Cup. Amr, we've been gone for a while. There's been many news. The transfer window has opened.
Facts.
No, not conceding a goal in a month. That'll be a very topic that we want to talk about.
Facts.
Let's first start with something actually not Barcelona related. I thought it was a pretty big news that came out. Amorim getting sacked. I feel like we kind of want to talk about it. I've also said for Manchester United. Don't know why. Suffering. Amorim, what did you do? Do you agree with the decision?
Look, for me, yeah. I think, of course, it's completely justified sacking Amorim, and I think it probably. I mean, I've not made my opinion. I haven't hidden my opinion, right? I think he should have probably been sacked a while ago. Because my opinion, my stance was that there's levels to this stuff, right? And in my opinion, Amorim broke even what like the worst, like a Ragnick or Ten Hag was doing, right? At least Ten Hag won something. At least Ole, like he got second in the league, and
I mean, bro, look at Postecoglou. That guy finished in the same Prem spot practically as Amorim last season, but won the Europa League final against him, and he got sacked, and Amorim
Yeah.
didn't get sacked.
Yeah, and I think rightfully so. Like I don't think like winning a trophy should immune you from being sacked.
Yeah, 90 minutes should never change too much,
Of course. But in my opinion, I think like the bigger mess at the club is more to do with the fact that he got sacked, I don't think for footballing reasons, right? So they just came off like two back-to-back games, which are like terrible results, you could say. So they took a point, I think it was at Old Trafford, wasn't it at the Molineux, from Wolves, right? And Wolves only had 2 points at that point. Like they were the worst Premier League team. They've been West Ham since, but they were the worst Premier League team like start and projected to finish in history, right?
Yeah.
And then they also get a point away at Leeds, right? Again, a team that's like arguably in a relegation battle. They're like 16th or something like that. So it comes after these two bad results. But I think everyone knows that the biggest or the reason why he got sacked was the press conference he had after Leeds.
Now, there's been claims on social media, and I think I don't know who exactly reported it, but it was reputable, that try to make the claim that they planned on sacking him pre-Leeds game, but I feel like it's kind of just trying to save face, because like,
Yeah,
why would
that's
you wait?
dodgy.
Why would you, what type of team waits till
Yeah,
the
that's
Leeds
very
game?
dodgy. Yeah,
Very
that's very
dodgy.
dodgy.
Okay, I guess one thing, because you're kind of saying that you've never hidden your opinion, and I get you saying thresholds have been met, but tell me, like, is there something in particular in terms of in-game tactics about his actual tactics? Is this something that particularly pissed you off? Like, for example, I'll start labeling out stuff. Some people get pissed about Mainu not getting minutes. This is just an example. Some people have problems with the signings that they made in terms of you did not bring in midfielders. Like, you put that on him. Do you not put it on him? Like, where do you think he's messing up?
Well, I mean, look, like his press conference was obviously him saying, I came in as a manager, not as a head coach," and I think he failed as both, right? So, like, even as a manager, like you're alluding to right now, I think as a manager he's been horrific, right? So, a manager would mean like in the scouting department, I feel like he completely neglected like a midfielder in the summer.
Wait, so do you think he
How
was
he
given
managed,
that? Do you
how
think
he's
he was
managed.
given that? Like, do you think, like, what in the press conference, did you feel like when he was talking about not being treated as a manager, that he's never been treated as a manager, or he was given the chance and is now getting that taken away from him?
I definitely think something's changed. So I think before he was being treated as a manager, and I think he asked for the likes of like Cunha and Mbuemo. And then now in this January transfer window, clearly there's been a shift since the January transfer window started. He thought he's not being backed by the board. And he even name dropped that Wilcox guy. I mean, I feel like that was the red line that they drew. But my point was is that I think as a manager, he's failed, right? So in that department, the scouting department, or at least working with the scouting department, because he ignored a midfielder. And I think his man management of Mainu has been horrific, right? So like Bruno's been out, right, for an injury recently, and he's starting with Ugarte and Casemiro in the midfield instead of Mainu. You get what I mean? And like
Pure control, straight,
for me,
just
I also think that like lots of people have been saying like, oh, what kept them going, what they kept them Amorim in, like the few people that were Amorim in, were his press conferences, right? In my opinion, he said some very dodgy stuff historically in press conferences. Like for example, he's called them the worst Man United team ever. Very for me, that was really weird comment at the time.
yeah, yeah,
And most more recently, he like called out like all the youngsters at the club, and even the ones on loan. And I was like, and then they started like replying back to him, and he took a dig at them replying back. I was like, dude, no, like this goes both ways. Like they're taking a dig back. Yeah, they feel a bit entitled, but also you don't call out these youngsters like in public. So I always thought even his like press conferences were weird even before this. But for me, like just to answer your question, I was about to divert a bit. But to answer your question is that even as a coach, his football is atrocious, right? Like for me, is that like he's trying to play this 3-4-3 style, and he even mentions like again more recently that like now he started to realize maybe we don't have the players for it, but he also like never adapts. I remember against City at one point, he
mm,
brought on Maguire when they needed a goal at middle center back, and I remember that day I'm like, this guy's trying to get sacked. So I think even as a manager or as a coach, he's not adaptable, and his style of football is very boring, to be honest.
okay. Can I play devil's advocate for?
Very last point is that even most recently in these Leeds and Wolves games, he's still sticking to this. Like I'm not even joking. There might have been like six defenders on the pitch,
Mhm.
right? Like you had Dorgo at right wing.
Right,
It
but
just wasn't working.
he's missing players. He's missing players around this time. What I was gonna say for devil's advocate, and this is mainly the points of some friends who were not as Amarim out, and so I'll say the first point
Wait,
was,
is it because they're not United fans? Is that
no, they are
is that what
they
you're
are
saying?
fans. Yeah, I mean, you saw like Tottenham fans are like thanking Amarim, but okay. So the first point was the signings that he has made, they have liked. For example, Dorgu, Cunha, Mbemu. These people are considered like favored. People are happy with these signings. I would even be say like Mbremu's a good signing, but it's also a question of like positionally. But like, what would be your response to that?
I mean, the way I see it is not even about who he signed. I think like those I'm not necessarily disagreeing, even though lots of people are like still very iffy about Dorgu, like he's not able to like claim that left wing spot or
He played
left
him
mid.
at off. Yeah, he played him at forward last game, not even at
Well,
wing
yeah,
back.
I mean, and to be fair, it worked
Newcastle.
against Newcastle, right? It worked really well against Newcastle, to be honest. I'm less about like it's more about who he didn't sign for me, or like who he should have prioritized. Like the way I see it is that Mbeumo, Cunha, Dorgu, good signings. I think
Sesko is another
Ugarte, right? Ugarte and Sesko he also signed,
sign.
and they were both for me as like misses, like so far.
Right.
Definitely misses. And for me, like the priority should have definitely been a midfielder before he got either of these two tens. You know what I'm
Was
saying?
Ugarte signed before him, but like for him?
Maybe I think
Something
maybe.
like
So
that.
I'll pass there, but like just in general, like the lack of midfield options is like that like sentences you. You know what I'm saying? Like for me,
Yeah.
I think that
In
was the biggest
general,
problem.
it's in general, I find it difficult to think that you could play at such a high level, and for you to play with two midfielders kind of requires you to have like the perfect two. And I think in itself is a very tactically suicide option. Like people, you can try to praise him for what they've done at Sport, like what it worked at Sporting CP, but again, that's in the Portuguese league, and they had some success in Europe. But bro, like for honestly, like if you want a two-man midfield, you need like a Pedri. You know what I mean? Like how many people? Like even by the way, you know when we talk about like should Mainu have played? In my opinion, Mainu was a better option than playing Ugarte and Casemiro together. However, even Mainu is kind of getting like put out there to die in
Oh
that
yeah,
role
yeah.
tactically.
It is like a very like lonely like position to be in. I mean, the way I saw it, and when I saw it before, is that he had to adapt earlier clearly he got some sort of like reassurances or something like this from the club that they would be able to sign players in these positions. But I mean, to also play devil's advocate for what you're saying, and this is why I mean that like the management is a bigger problem than or like I'm saying upper management than Amorim himself. They're sixth right now in the league with 31 points, tied to Chelsea and 3 points off Liverpool for top four.
Yeah.
Right, so it's coming at a very strange time where you feel like they're still inconsistent, but there has been some stability as of late. Obviously, like I say this, and like they're also
Bro?
3 points off.
Yeah.
The league is very close, right? So they're also 3 points off Everton in 12th. So it's
Mhm.
not like, but you get what I mean. Like it's not coming from, in my opinion, a footballing reason, which is a
Even
bigger
yeah.
problem.
No, but dude, when we're talking about even Maresca stepping down slash mutually leaving, but kind of like he was trending towards a path of like they don't want him anymore because,
Yeah, for sure.
like he said, they're getting involved, and I wonder if that could have even had a role in Amorim getting sacked, even though it seems like a lot to do with the press conference because they were saying you're going to stay here for the next 3 years and all that tabad, all that stupid stuff. But again, like even Maresca leaving could probably play a role in them wanting to be more like, okay, dude, like if they're getting rid of Maresca, which by the way just won the Club World Cup, and supposedly that's meant to be a huge tournament now. Like if Maresca had won the Champions League, he's not getting he's not getting pressure on him right now. You know what I mean? But I guess my point's kind of like that. Also, just doesn't help with how low the standard of the Premier League is to be in that position at the moment. Like 31 points is not impressive by any means. But okay, I guess we both are pretty clear, regardless of our devil's advocate stances, that tactically, he does not deserve to be as stubborn as he was based off his own credibility. Like, not just that, by the way, to even let him be a manager at a club like Manchester United, which I understand has trended downwards, as a relatively new manager, to be honest, sometimes you don't even deserve that.
You're right. Exactly. That's
Sometimes you
exactly what I
need
was
to
saying.
prove it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying earlier. Like I don't know why, and I think it's because of their history of sacking managers, which is why they kind of like we're building this narrative that you have to give him time, you have to give him time. In my opinion, it's like nobody automatically is entitled to time at a big club if you
No,
want to. I
like
mean,
if
if
you're
you
Pep,
still want to cover United at a big club,
yeah, like Pep has the right to be somewhat stubborn, and even him, he's adjusted with the times, and he comes in to be a manager. But how many managers do we know of that, to be honest, don't get a role in who their team signs? They don't get a problem. Like I'm listen, I don't know for sure what's going on, but I'll just give an example. And they're not doing the best this season comparatively, but like Eddie Howe at like Newcastle, for example. I'm sure when he first entered Newcastle, Newcastle will probably take into account what he's saying, but you can see they're just signing players they thought were good. And like here you go, Eddie Howe, do well with it. Like you do, like Eddie Howe isn't walking in being like I have a stubborn system that I'm gonna play regardless of the circumstance.
yeah. I
Okay,
mean, this is a trend for a ton of like the in modern football, to be honest, which is that nowadays they're trying to like separate between like the scouting department and the vision of the club and the system with the head coach. They more have just like a head coach. They'll be like, these are the players that we think fit with the vision of the club. They'll have resale value. We think they're young, they're dynamic, whatever. And now you need to get the best out of them. This is like a trend that we're seeing like across many different clubs. I think for a long time it was also under Arteta. I think I mean under Arsenal with Arteta, and I think eventually you gain enough like credibility as manager for them to now take your input and your
yeah.
decision making and
I
stuff like
literally remember them calling him. He's now been become manager for Arteta.
that.
Like they
Right,
made it
I
sound like
remember
a
that.
promotion.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
like it
yeah.
was an actual step. And one of the best examples of this, as to a manager who needs to prove themselves, and don't get me wrong, he had just made the Champions League final with Dortmund one coming, like he had come to Liverpool, but Jurgen Klopp was not a guy that decided to take that much role in Scott. He admits to not having a role in signing
No,
Salah,
I
signing Mane.
remember he did not. He wanted Brandt instead of Salah, and he wanted someone else instead of Mane as well. Like it wasn't like he did not have input at all, to be honest. And
For like my friends that are Manchester United fans, I feel like there's this common thing to jump to the conclusion that, yeah, but it's the board's fault because guess what? They did not back him. And I don't agree with that like fully. Like I believe that there's some level you need to back a manager. But I can't lie, if you're Amorim and your only successful job has been at some one other club in the Portuguese league, it's too risky. It's too risky. I don't listen, it could have paid off. But now I don't see Amorim going to another club.
right,
You think Crystal
I
Palace
think
takes Amorim?
Yeah, I think the entire relationship kind of was built on like a lack of trust to begin with. Like they didn't fully were convinced of him, and Amram wasn't fully convinced of the board, and it kind of had this weird like thing where they didn't want to back him, they wanted him to prove himself. So my thing is more like if the board only wanted to back someone they trusted, they should have tried to go out and get like a Zidane, for example, somebody
Yeah,
that they feel like they can back immediately, right?
exactly. Exactly.
Otherwise, like you see like a Ten Hag or an Amorim, in my opinion, if they walk into like a big club, you got to prove yourself tactically. Are you able to improve these guys, even if they're not that good? Are you able to build a system with what you already have? And then they over time they'll be able to back.
And like to be honest, even look at Barcelona right now. When like Flick came in, he commanded so much respect based off the circumstance we brought him in that we feel in debt to him. Like we like you say what you want, and they're inclined to give it because they were in like in a weird way. Barcelona was in the inferior position. I don't want to say
Right.
like that, but you know what I
And
mean.
that's the advantages of signing a manager who's been proven, right? And that's the disadvantages of signing a more like upside potential young manager, right? Like with a nice style of football, which is what United has been trying to do, right? That's how I see it. It's
Yeah,
like investing in
Barcelona
youth, of
having an identity makes it easier for sure, lots of the
course.
time. Because whenever we used to bring a manager in like that was just already like a Barcelona ex player, we knew what they wanted, so there was not much of a conflict. With Manchester United, when you don't have as much of an identity, and this happens to clubs that don't have that much identity when it comes to the style of football in which they plan to play, you kind of come in and you're adjusting for every manager like chaos. It's not like for Barcelona, we hire a manager that usually, of course, Flick is like a he has some own stuff that he prefers. But on the like on average,
Sure.
all of our
Yeah.
managers have a similar idea. So the old players we have still apply. For
Yeah.
Manchester
The
United,
core.
every new manager, the last players do not apply to the next manager,
Right.
which is
Right.
chaos.
Right.
Okay,
And honestly, I felt like they were gonna persist with him again if it wasn't them getting called out, which is like
right.
quite embarrassing to be honest.
Yeah, it's like the wrong reason, right decision type of thing. I think
Yeah.
we have come to the
Yeah.
conclusion before. If you had to replace Amorim and you're the manager, we currently have Solskjaer offering to be an interim manager. We have Fletcher, the current interim manager, and you have the likes of Areola, who was linked to them earlier in the season. What type of decision do you make if you were Sir Jim Ratcliffe?
Yeah, I was actually about to ask you the exact same question. So I don't know, man. Like we can like talk through it. Obviously, if you went with Fletcher, he's just gonna start his sons in it. Like that's all he's gonna do. He's gonna start both sons from the academy,
Well,
right?
like
He's
you
not.
have to start one son and not the other. That's beef in
That's
the family.
crazy. No, I mean, look, Fletcher is kind of like a stopgap. Apparently, he's been in and around with the club for like a long time with like the scouting and the coaching and stuff like that. I don't see as them like maybe he kind of brings like a feel good factor that kind of Ollie brought in when he was interim manager. That may persist for like a few games, and probably like they'll just like go back to baseline, which is how they've been playing now. To be honest,
Right.
Ollie, I mean, Ollie is like going back to an ex, right? Like I don't think that's like the
He's
move.
offering a 6 month contract though, which isn't like
Right, and he brought the feel good factor, right? Which is what he was praised for. It was that he was this like, guy that brought back like a bit of like positivity and like Man United spirit, right?
the weird thing is though that once he left the club though, he started talking about all the players he requested. I requested Holland, I requested this, or like
Dude,
I recommended this
bro,
guy, like I requested all the class players, which is also not a good look in general. I don't think the Man United board would
appreciate.
appreciate that at all, especially considering the reasons for sacking Amrim. But I mean, when he was manager, not what he made comments after, he was very like amazing in the media. Like the Glazers loved him. This guy was I love everyone. You know what I'm saying? I'm not complaining. Not this team, worst Man United team all time. Like no, he's
Yeah.
not dropping that. You know what I mean?
And I think there's been a bit of revisionism about his time, even from like Man U fans.
Mm,
But like on paper, as a coach, Man did not have any bag tactically, right? Like
right.
he was just kind of he was pure on that like old school like just man management, and he had like coaches on the side to do the actual coaching, and he was just more of like a feel good. Like I even saw a clip today of him. And again, this is because like people are like romanticizing the whole thing. It was like they played Copenhagen in the Europa League, and then the Copenhagen player seems like he was a Man U fan. He was like thanking Ollie for like all the work he was doing, and then he Bruno was next to them, and he was like, "Oh, it's because of this guy." Like he's trying to like he's very much like an unk, you know, like he's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
trying to make everyone feel better and like you
Yeah, I
know.
get you.
I think you're lagging. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It just lagged for a moment there for some reason. But no, I completely get it. Definitely a feel good factor. So,
And then the last guy, right? You mentioned was Areola. For me, obviously, Bournemouth are not doing that well this season, but I think we both have a very high opinion of Areola, Wahida Rayo Vallecano, and all the players he lost. Right? He lost Kirkez. He lost who's that Ukrainian guy?
Zaberni. Uh,
Zaberni, right? Obviously, he's about to lose Semenyo. Like he's hands have been tied.
Hoyton, of course, yeah.
Yeah, Hoyson, of course. So obviously, hands have been tied. So they're 15th in the league. Um, I think I'll be honest, especially like the way that Man U have been and the sudden, I would say sudden sacking of Amorim, to be honest, because of how much they were backing him. I wouldn't hire a permanent manager now. I'd wait till the summer.
So
That's
you're
how I.
saying Fletcher or Solskjaer?
Yeah, I'd probably say Fletcher just for now and just see how it
Yeah.
goes.
I think the weirdly enough, the reason why I would be against Solskjaer is because he actually kind of has a cult fan base. I feel like within the Manchester United fans, and it's not healthy to have him as an interim manager. You
Right,
need
he's
someone
gonna
that's
get another 5 year contract if
yeah,
he's
the second he gets 2 wins off the bounce, and he's gotten the contract. So I think it's unhealthy. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna go back to this guy, like you said, they've done a bit of revisionism about him. Going back to the ex, you forget all the abuse. You know, not abuse, but like you forget all of the bad times, all the reasons why you might have broken up. You know, and
this
then
is
you're gonna fall back into it. Abuse is crazy. This guy's a great lad. We're making no claims here.
abusing anyone.
He's not abusing anyone. I just meant like you forget the reasons why you broke up, and now you're going back. And I think because he has a cult fan, Fletcher does not have a cult fan base. Let him play his sons every once in a while. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? That's fine. Hopefully, he can manage it the way like Simeone has managed it over the years. Before I end this Manchester United segment, I want to bring up one other name that I've just seen in media. I haven't seen credible sources behind it, but ex Barcelona manager, Barcelona legend Xavier Hernandez. Okay,
it'd
now
be.
how do you feel about that?
I mean, I'd love to see it. It'd be
I
very
love to
interesting.
see him
Love to
manage.
see it. I'd
But
love
do
to
you
see.
feel like that's like he's built to fail because they won't back him?
Look, honestly, it's like you're following in the exact same footsteps. I feel like that you just did with Ten Hag and Amorim. To be honest, like I
Yeah.
feel like that's not what they're looking for right
Feels like
now.
the perfect blueprint to do the exact same thing, isn't it?
Exact
Especially like
same
Ten
thing.
Hag. Especially like Ten
Oh
Hag.
yeah, he's gonna be like quite honest in interviews, right? They're gonna try to semi back him with some players, and then it's not gonna. He tries to play this like open style of football. It's not gonna really work. They don't have the players. You know, I can see it like definitely like exploding in their faces. With that being said, this guy had such a terrible lineup at Barsha when he took us over,
Adama
and he's
Traore had to start, bro.
dude. At Damatraoui, we had Elias Akhomach, you had like Nico Gonzalez in the midfield.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was he was working with like scraps, right?
Hmm.
So and he won us a La Liga under that, and if you recall, like we're talking about our defense now, he had the four back, right? Balde, Araujo, Christensen, Kunde, and they were locked down B for like a while. Um, so and then he left us in a place where Flick was able to take over and like push us. So I would say his time at Barca was like quite successful in my opinion. Obviously, except for the Europa League thing, but like they'd love a Europa League right now, like going down to the Europa League. Um, so that's like the positive side, but in my opinion, that's not what they need right now, right? That's not what they need. And
Aber Javi, it might be. Now listen, like he'll probably eventually get sacked. But for us, Barcelona, he's a pretty good like alley oop manager. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's like, is it
right,
lagging? You good?
exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I
Okay,
was gonna
you're
say
gonna
like he was a perfect alley oop manager, and he seemed like for example, the most basic example I can give for Barcelona during our time even was like figuring out that Rafinha worked perfectly in this left wing role that he currently plays for us currently, and like his ability to like bomb down the wing, like open up the gaps, make a bunch of runs, work hard. Like he clearly knows how to manage individual players into improving, and he also had the pull, bring us Lewandowski, bring us Rafinha, also all this stuff. So it's like there is the aspect of him being a good alley oop manager, but I think Man U needs something that's a they can't afford to do what Barcelona did, especially because Xavi was a
Right.
Barcelona player, so we
Right.
were
And
okay
and,
with
and
like dealing with it.
right, 100%. And also, the way I see it is that also Xavi, I feel like he learned on the job, right? And the Xavi that like we ended up with was actually better than how it started, and I thought he became more adaptable as time went on. Dude, you remember some of the days where like it was just straight 1-0s, which
Yeah.
is like not like you'd associate Xavi with like this attacking, like free flowing, like style of football. But like for me, he also like he cared a lot about results. Like he knew like we gotta sort of like stopgap this whole thing, right?
Yes,
Which
he was
is
realistic.
which could help Manu. Like that was part of the problem with Amorim, in my opinion. Like they kind of do need like a guy to, in the short term at least, focus on results. But I feel like yeah, it's like in my opinion, that's not what they need right now, and probably not what Xavi needs either.
So, if I could conclude, if you had to make a decision today, it would be Fletcher till the summer, Areola take over, or do you have another shout, or is it not really like you're not sure about Areola, but you're just saying mainly wait till those? There's Glasner. I don't know how open he is.
I would say I would say Fletcher till the summer, and then Tommy T after he takes England to a World Cup.
Tuchel.
No, 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 no. But Tuchel, I could see at Manu. I could 100% see it at Manu.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Tuchel. It's just like I saw some people talking about it right now, and I was like, well, this is kind of weird. He's kind of the England manager leading up to the World
Right,
Cup.
but there's lots of rumors that he's not gonna stay at England past the
World
World
Cup.
Cup.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's there for
that's my opinion.
there for a short
What
time.
would you say?
Short time. I would say I agree with Fletcher till the summer, and I would say go for Areola. I think I think I liked Areola in general. I like him as a manager. I don't know what the other options are. I need to look into it. Like if Glasner's available, like how much
Yeah.
do you do
He
you
probably will be.
into
Yeah,
that?
he probably will be.
That's another great option, I think. But again, the only thing that's stuck in my head is the fact we've kind of discussed about needing a manager that will command respect from the board in order to be trusted. But that also can go really wrong. So I'm not stuck on it. It kind of reminds me of like Chelsea with Antonio Conte. In the first season, they win the league because they fully back him, and then when the following season they fall off, he leaves, and they have like the worst season of like in a long
Yeah,
time, you know. So
but I think they take that. They
yeah,
take a
oh
league and yeah,
oh they would absolutely take that. Yeah, I'm saying that's one of the situations where it works well. But if like let's say you don't win that first season, and then you fully back the manager, and then you just kind of fall off a cliff, it's dangerous. But that's that for the Manchester United segment. Now let's go back to Barcelona. Recently played Espanyol. We got the victory. Juan Garcia masterclass.
no, cut him. Sir Juan Garcia,
The man that he is.
Sir Juan Garcia, the legend.
Beautiful, beautiful game. Interesting subs by Flick, which turned out to be great subs. He subbed on both Fermin and Olmo into the game. Of course, we started the game with Rafinha, Lamine, and Rashford. But to sub on Olmo and Fermin, if I'm going to be completely honest, I'm not usually a fan of that because I don't like that one of them has to occupy a like winger position, whereas I think both of them are trash at winger. But man, Juan Garcia just like
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously I didn't watch. I wasn't able to watch the second half, but that first half of Juan Garcia, Karam, this is this is how we felt about Thibaut Courtois all these years. You know what I'm saying? Like you could see Madrid be facing like 6, 7 like big chances a game. Oh,
yeah,
don't do
yeah,
that. That's an accident as well. Big
yeah,
chances a game, and then somehow the score ends with a zero next to the opposition's the amount of goals they scored.
yeah,
And it just goes back to like this thing that we were talking about where like at the end of the day, right? The goalkeeper is the one that decides whether the ball enters the net or not, right? So it's like basically at the end of the day, whether or not you lose that match can be entirely dependent on your goalkeeper, right? Which
yeah,
like obviously if you just see that many chances, eventually one's going to go in. But at the end of the day, if you have like an insane goalkeeper, he can just win you the game, right? Or at least not lose.
Sorry, it was lagging for a moment there. I don't know if it's gonna catch on, but I get what you're saying. It's like Juan Garcia. Like the difference between your keeper deciding if you win or lose, bro, for 25 million, that is incredible. I don't know. It's a weird thing in football where I feel like keepers still are underrated in terms of like, okay, maybe because sometimes you sign them for a big like sum and it goes really wrong in the case of like Kepa, but just in general, we even saw with Liverpool the turnaround that they had and they said like an Alisson and stuff like that. Um, Keepers seem to still be like a very underpriced like a position on the field. And for us, it's just absolutely changed us. Like without Juan Garcia, we concede maybe 3 or 4 against Espanyol. Also, I want to say Fermin Lopez on both goals was incredible. The second goal, he was incredible. The Lewandowski goal, unbelievable. Like he created both of those goals. Like if I had to say, if the man of the match wasn't Juan Garcia, it would have been Fermin, regardless of almost scoring a beautiful goal and Leo with a beautiful finish.
I mean, like, dude, if Fermin is playing at the cam position, which I assume he was, right, in the second half, almost one playing off the left.
Yeah, almost
Yeah.
almost playing off the left. That's where he scored from.
When
Yeah.
does he not produce? I mean, he almost always scores or assists. You know, like I don't remember the last time Fermin does not produce something from a match when he's at cam, right? Whether that's off the bench or starting.
He's definitely improved. Like, because look, keep in mind, I want to say one thing. For the beginning of the season, I was a bit critical of Fermin. I was a bit controversial at the time, and now I'm gonna go back and say I believe I was wrong. Okay, because what ended up happening was I didn't think Fermin could continuously produce, and I felt that if we had the option, I would rather have Olmo at cam because I felt that sometimes we lacked creativity. We're using Fermin at the cam position, which I think is not like it cannot happen. However, with the way that Fermin is currently playing at, just the amount of danger he's producing on the football pitch is creativity. You
Right,
know what I
and
mean?
I would say he's added an aspect to his game where like both of the goals came from him getting inside the pocket and then turning, right? Which
Bro,
is
he carries the ball. He just
right,
carries it, you know?
right, and it came like I at least the first goal, the one with Olmo, right, is like he takes it and he turns the man and like his back is to goal, so it's like very much like that's what you were asking for, which is what you thought Olmo had, right? Which is that like in the pockets he's able to like turn and be more creative.
Yeah, so
So
I can go back and say that I think my criticism of Fermin in the beginning of the season is more based off previous season, like last season even,
right,
where I
which is
felt
that he needs space. He needs space. He needs
he's
yeah.
doing bad when it's a low block, he becomes obsolete and stuff like that. But no, he's definitely improved. He's even more confident, and I can sense that like this guy is a starter. You know what I mean? He should be starting for Barcelona.
I would say the downsides for the game obviously is that like we were conceding way too many chances. Like Juan Garcia had the game of his life, right? It was like a Messi-esque performance by goal. Um, but you don't want to see that many chances against
Never, never.
Espanyol, right?
never.
And I would say the other thing is that Ferran's game was horror, right? Which is goes back to like that kind of like inconsistency thing with him, right? Which is our biggest concern with the striker position. And I would say the good thing is that, or not good thing, but like I guess a redeeming thing is that I mean it's nothing we don't already know, but Lewa's finish was like class, right? All the issues that he's off the bench and he's like 37, right? So like he can't really do much other than that.
Yeah, y'all. That is what he like. He gives us the striker's touch that no one else really has, but he's slow. He can get so uninvolved. Sometimes he can't even pass in some games.
Yeah,
Sometimes he can't dribble. Like
right.
so
He's just old.
incredible.
Like
He's just
he's
old.
old. Yeah.
Like it's like it's literally the definition of a player who was world class that is shows like signs of still being world class. Anything else you want to say about the game? I was gonna go over our new
No,
signing.
I mean I don't know how like did Pedri help also coming on? Like I knew he came
Oh yeah, of course, of course.
like
Like
midfield.
undoubtedly, like I think Flick's in-game management there was one of the best games I've ever seen in terms of in-game management. Bringing on Pedri, bringing on Fermin, bringing on Olmo, bringing on Liwa, bro.
Yeah,
All
all
of them
teams.
had a contribution.
Yeah,
All of them.
we
Fermin
changed.
Firmino got assisted to, almost scoring. Lee was scoring. Pedri coming in, literally like controlling the midfield, وحده, like by himself.
Right.
Okay, so no,
Yeah.
definitely complete all credit, or even to Flick for that, for the
Yeah.
performance he
Yeah.
put in there.
And just last thing before we move on, because I think I know where you're gonna ask next. Shout out Juan Garcia for pushing Gerard Maldini into that, that
Brother,
shot.
but he screamed no and dashed him. You know what I mean?
He was not conceding it. He was not conceding against Espanyol. These guys calling him a rat. These guys whistling him. He's like, I'm not conceding today. Hold a Gerard.
He put Gerard. He made Gerard Martin his cone. You know what I mean? He put him in front of that ball and said, "We are protecting this with our lives." You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And by the way, I feel like only Gerard Martin he's doing that to. You know what I mean? Like only Gerard Martin. Like he's not dashing someone else, but Gerard Martin. Like by the way, respect to Gerard Martin. He felt and embraced the fall. Do you
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like, "We're doing it."
Also, he wanted to be pushed.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
You
No,
know
I
what I'm
mean
saying?
genuinely though. Jordan Martin probably shouldn't have been there. Like you can hear Juan Garcia even screaming, like "Get out of my way!" But like I respect. End of the day, like we always talk about how Jordan Martin being a left center back, at least being left-footed, has helped us a lot, regardless of the defensive struggles. Moving on from one fullback to another, a new signing, not official, but here we go. Wow, Cancelo,
He's back, baby. He's
he's
back.
back. Never fall in love with a lone player till they come back.
So nice. We had to do it twice. Right? It's coming back.
Yeah, I mean, tell me how you feel about it, because I know you have mixed emotions.
I have a lot of opinion on this. I think first things first is that I think our absolute priority should have been a left center back, right? So like I know that we still have a limited amount of funds, right? We still have to get this approved by FFP. Imagine, like I don't know how many years on we are. It's been since COVID, so it's been like 6 years, and we still had to get this approved on a loan deal from El Hilal, where they're covering like 90% of his wages, and we still have to get approved. So I'm very concerned about where this is going to leave budget for a left center back. With that being said, we obviously need a fullback, right? Eric's been playing in the midfield. Jared Martin's been playing at center back. We only have Kunde and Balde, right? And we essentially don't have cover for them besides the Barcelona B player in Joffrey. And we couldn't even bring back like a Hector Fort, for example. He just got injured for Elche, even though he was playing well, right? So we needed a fullback as well. That's fair enough. But I think priority should have been left center back. With that being said, I think like I'm first gonna give the positives, which is that like obviously we know with Cancelo, he's gonna be much more creative than both our fullbacks, whether he's playing at left back or at right back, right? And that's exciting in terms of like linking up. I think especially with like Lemine, because I feel like this season
The right back
especially,
side, yeah.
right, like especially Kunde this season has not been up to par, both defensively and especially offensively. I feel like Lamine's essentially like going one on one with the fullback almost all the time, right? So that's gonna be fun to watch. And also at left back, like I feel like in fact the first stint that he played with us, I felt like his better games were actually at left back, like when he was inverting. I thought he was better there. So that's exciting, right? With that being said, this is also under the assumption that he's still just as good offensively as he was when he was at Barcelona. And obviously I haven't watched him since he's gone El Hilal, right? So
I
I don't
can't lie.
know.
The fact you're leaving El Hilal, like, listen, lots of players leave the Saudi league, and it's for their own reasons and stuff like that. Like Darwin Nunes is balling in the Saudi league right now for El Hilal, and like Cancelo becoming like, don't get me wrong, they play Theo Hernandez at one of the fullback positions, but the other one's like a Saudi guy, and like why is Cancelo not like a undisputed
Right.
like starter though?
Right, exactly. So I don't know what his levels like been these past few months. I guess it's been like
Yeah.
maybe over. Um, right, and then another thing is that even when he was at Barcelona, I felt like he was dodgy defensively. Right, I remember back to the PSG game where he gave a pen away very rashly against Dembele, and then he also lost Dembele on the back post on the second goal. Like these things stick in my head, right? I never felt like even against Madrid he was that comfortable defensively. With that being said, how much worse defensively can we get, right?
That's
Compared
true.
to what we're already doing right now. So maybe like just compensating it with like some more creativity up front will be worth it, right? Um, so I think those are like my main points, right? Like it's exciting in the sense like we might have like a bit nostalgia, obviously, but also he'll be able to link up offensively. I just hope he's still at the same level offensively, and I'm still very suspect about him defensively. And I think if we end January without a left center back, then it was ultimately like a failure.
For sure. If bro, I'm dreaming of Bastoni every night. Sorry.
No,
Okay.
keep dreaming.
So I want to go over why Joao Cancelo is leaving Al Hilal. So Simone Inzaghi, of course, the manager of Al Hilal, decided not to register him for domestic competitions, which, by the way, is also not a good sign. But one thing I would like to say is, so he was actually sidelined early in the season with a hamstring injury, and he is yet to play at all this season. So is that concern on injury level? Does that make us feel better about why they didn't play him? Maybe, like, is there less of a reason? I want to remind you that, of course, in the Saudi league, you have a limited amount of international spots allowed. It's a bit sketchy how they move with it sometimes, but in general, they have a certain amount of spots they can even include for lots of these competitions. So sometimes the player gets not included. Like I remember Firmino was included for like the AFC Champions League and not Saudi for the Saudi league. I believe
Yeah, 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 yeah. I remember
lines like
some.
that. So of course, when you're playing on a team like Al Hilal with like Darwin Nunes playing well, you have Theo Hernandez, you have Malcolm, you have a bunch of these other people who are not registered to be locals, but instead they have to on some level do that. So that kind of describes why. But again, it's always a bit sus when someone's been out for the entire season with an injury and they're coming to a team that already has injury problems.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like you said. Like, is he not playing because he's injured? Maybe, which could like give you a bit of like, well, that's why he's not playing, so you feel a bit better about it. But then also, like he's in Saudi, like usually, I know Saudi's like improved in terms of like the level, but like people, I mean, you go there when you're not at your top. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. Oh,
And
for
then
sure.
you get injured for 6 months. Yeah, it is concerning. And you also have to remember he's a George Mendes client, so it's not like we did some like scouting and we're like, this is the guy that we want back at fullback.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it fell in our lap, right? He gave us like complete priority. I'm sure the agent came to Barcelona. He's very close to many Barcelona players. Like he's the agent, and also with Juan Laporta. So it's like it is also kind of like we got it because we kind of have to, right? Which is
So the last thing I wanted to ask you before we wrap up this pod and this episode was so you mentioned the major problem being a left center back. Is there any center backs you see out there that is not named Bastoni that you would like to see at Barcelona?
there's one guy in Nasser, Big Daddy Nico Martinez, bring him back on loan. I love it. I love it. So I would say no. But jokes aside, a left. You know what
Amber, you
some
gotta
people
move
think. Some
on.
people think
Amber, you
Cancelo,
need to move on. You need to move on.
bro. If we brought Cancelo back, we can't bring him back. Like you know what I'm saying.
Well, I
But
think
okay,
that
no, no. Genuinely,
you
some
already
some
named
some people
some
think.
people. Go on.
I was saying that some people think that Cancelo is coming to start, and then Kunde is going to be shifted to right center back and Kubarsi left center back, which I wouldn't like for multiple reasons. I mean, one, it would mean that Cancelo would have to start. Two, it would mean that Kunde, who hasn't played center back for like 2, 3 seasons, would have to be back at center back. And then thirdly, I don't think Kubarsi is a good left center back, right?
We literally say that's the reason why we like to see Gerard Martin play is purely for the reason of Kowalski getting to play right center back,
Right,
and we have a
right.
left person, which makes us look more comfortable.
So, I mean, in a dream world, 6 months left on his contract, I would take Guehi. But I
Then
don't
stick
think we
with
have.
your bank. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
we don't have the finances to compete for that. I guess a more realistic option is Senesi for Bournemouth, right?
he got called up to Argentina. Yeah,
Right, and I think his contract's almost like done as well.
yeah, and
But
then they'd be giving them out. They'd be Bournemouth be giving them out.
so yeah, I'll probably go with Senesi.
I'll name some other people: Pau Torres, Schlotterbeck. Schlotterbeck I've seen in the news a couple times.
Yeah, summer
There's
maybe.
Inacio. There's this other brother that I don't even know about, Benedetti for Palmeiras. Yeah, I think if it was not Bastoni, I think of this same answers. I would not want to see what you've just said, and I'd probably want to look into Just any left-footed, bro. Just bring a left-footed center back. Like honestly, like we're not asking for much. We just want a left-footed center back.
Boy, Jared Maldini stays. We stick it out. We grind it out. Jared Maldini.
That's where we end this episode today. Thank you for watching, or thank you for listening. Hopefully, we'll be back to a bit more consistent basis now that
Us
we're not
three, all three of us.
three of us, all three of us. I'll be going back to America soon, anyways. We seem to be more consistent somehow when we're not together, which is a kind of an interesting thing. But anyways, thank you guys for listening or watching. Take care. Peace.